At 3 a.m., inside US museums, something feels wrong. Not broken, not loud, just different. Workers say, the silence doesn't feel empty, it feels watched. And the strangest part, nothing is moving, but it never feels still. When the doors finally close, and the last visitor walks out, the museum doesn't stop, it simply changes. The hallways feel longer, the silence heavier. A few workers remain inside, quietly doing their jobs, but they know, the deeper the night goes, this place doesn't stay the same. Nothing can be seen, yet everything feels different. 3 a.m. Something feels different. At 3 a.m. inside a US museum, everything feels slightly off. Not scary like a horror movie, but heavy, like the air itself is watching. The lights feel dimmer than they should, and every step echoes too long down the hallway. Workers say, this is the hour when silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling present. You don't just walk through the building at night, you feel it around you. Even the walls seem closer, like the space has quietly shrunk. Nothing moves, yet nothing feels still either. And somehow, everyone knows, this is the hour where the museum feels most alive. 2. After hours, work begins. When the doors close to the public, the museum doesn't sleep. It simply changes its face. Night staff arrive quietly. No crowd, no noise. Just footsteps on polished floors. Cleaning begins first, slow, careful. Like every object is fragile history itself. Security checks every corner, again and again. Not because they expect something, but because they can't afford to miss anything. The silence is not peace, it's responsibility. Every sound feels important, even the soft turn of a key. In these hours, the museum stops being a place for visitors and becomes a place of duty. 3. Cameras are always watching. Every hallway, every gallery, every shadow is under constant watch. Cameras don't blink, they don't get tired, they just record. But night staff know something strange. Watching too long changes how silence feels. A reflection in glass looks normal, until you walk away and still feel it behind you. Most footage is routine, empty rooms, steady lights, quiet movement. But not everything is shown to the public. Some clips stay stored, reviewed, never shared outside security teams. Not because something happens often, but because even rare moments feel harder to explain at night. 4. The people you never notice. In the daytime, museums feel like art and history. At night, they feel like work. Cleaners move through halls no visitor ever truly thinks about. Security guards stand still for hours, listening more than watching. These people don't get attention, but nothing inside the museum works without them. They know every sound the building makes when it settles, every small creak, every air shift, every distant echo, and slowly, over time, they stop seeing it as a museum and start seeing it as a living system that must be kept under control. 5. Night shift changes people. Working nights inside a silent museum does something subtle to the mind. Time stretches. Minutes feel longer than they should. The isolation is not loud, but it builds quietly. You start noticing details no one else would care about. A painting slightly tilted, a shadow that wasn't there before. Some workers say they stop talking much, even when others are nearby. Not because of fear, but because silence becomes normal. And once the mind adapts to that kind of quiet, daylight starts to feel unreal. 6. Some rooms stay locked. Not every door inside a museum opens freely. Some rooms are restricted, protected, hidden, known only to a few. Inside those spaces, the silence feels different again, heavier, more controlled, like the air itself is stored carefully. Only authorized staff can enter, with strict checks. Even unlocking a door feels serious, like crossing a boundary. Most workers never go there, and don't need to. But knowing those rooms exist adds another layer to the building at night, as if part of it always stays hidden. 7. The silence feels louder. At night, silence is not quiet. It amplifies everything. A dropped pen sounds like it travels across the whole building. Footsteps echo longer than expected, bouncing wall to wall. Workers become extremely aware, not because they are scared, but because the environment demands attention. Even breathing feels noticeable in certain rooms. The museum becomes a place where the smallest sound feels like a signal, and in that silence, the mind starts filling gaps, even when nothing is missing. 8. Millions on display. Zero room for error. Inside these halls, objects worth millions sit in perfect stillness. Ancient artifacts, rare art, irreplaceable history. Everything is protected with strict rules, no exceptions. One mistake, one careless movement, can cause permanent damage. That pressure sits quietly on every night worker. Even cleaning becomes precision work. Every step controlled, every motion measured. Because in a museum, nothing is just an object. Everything is legacy, and legacy cannot be replaced. 9. Why some workers leave. Not everyone stays on night duty forever. Some leave suddenly, without long explanations. It's rarely one reason, more like a slow build-up. Long silent hours, constant responsibility, emotional pressure. Over time, it becomes heavy, not scary, just exhausting, in a quiet way. Even those who love the job sometimes walk away, because working nights inside a museum is not just physical work, it is mental endurance, and not every mind is built for that silence. 10. By morning, everything resets. As the first light enters the museum, everything changes again. The atmosphere softens. The halls feel normal, almost peaceful. Visitors arrive, unaware of the night before. Exhibits look untouched, perfect, frozen in time. No one sees the cleaning, the checks, the silence, the long hours of watching. The museum returns to its public face effortlessly. But for night workers, something stays different. Because they know, behind the calm daytime silence, the night was never truly empty.